Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to cut through some of the noise online. There's this thing that's been absolutely buzzing, especially on TikTok. It's a drink mix called Zooone NR1000. Maybe you've seen it. Because, if you've scrolled through social media lately, it's hard to miss stuff like this. The marketing claims they're really enticing, stuff like helping slow skin aging, giving you this big energy boost, even sharpening your focus. It sounds amazing, right? Like some kind of modern elixir. And it really taps into that desire we all have, I think, to look good, feel good, stay sharp, maybe without, a ton of effort. But, like always, before we just jump on the hype train, we really need to take a closer look. That's what we do here.
Exactly. And that's our goal for this deep dive. Our mission really is to scrutinize the legitimacy. Look at these claims, look at the product itself, because we're just saturated with these attractive promises online, aren't we? Wellness trends, they spread like wildfire. So it's just crucial for you, the listener, to be genuinely well informed. You really need to understand what's actually going on behind the flashy marketing before you even think about adding a new supplement to your routine. We're going to dig into the details because, well, your health, your peace of mind, they are just non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, okay, let's start right there with the allure of it all, the promise. Zooone NR1000 really goes hard on some bold claims. Think about it. Better skin health, that energy boost we all feel like we need, and sharper mental clarity in this world. It's incredibly appealing, especially when you think about that modern desire for like quick fixes. The idea you just mix a drink and get all that. It's powerful marketing. Yeah, just pause for a second and think, why is that so captivating right now, especially on TikTok? Is it that promise of youth? Or maybe that productivity boost that feels almost like a superpower? It hits all the right notes for feeling, well, your best. You can picture it, right? Scrolling your feed, someone's just radiating energy, glowing skin, talking about juggling everything effortlessly. And then they say, oh, it's a simple drink. It's selling more than a product. It's like selling this fantasy of easy perfection. And our busy lives make that so tempting.
That's a really key point, the context. Because it is more than just the claims themselves. We're living in a time where, let's face it, stress is high, information overload is real, so people are definitely looking for shortcuts to feeling better. And social media, it's the perfect echo chamber for these quick fix ideas. The emotional pull can often sort of bypass the rational checks, especially if it's coming from someone you trust online or someone projecting that lifestyle you admire. And here's a core principle, really. The more amazing the claim sounds, the stronger the evidence needs to be. It just has to be. So for you, navigating all this means developing that critical eye, spotting what's reliable. And that's what we're trying to help with today.
Okay, right. Let's start peeling back those layers then. Let's scrutinize the surface details. And the first thing that honestly raised a bit of a flag for me was the reviews. If you go to the Zooone website itself, it probably shows this, like impressive 4.7-star rating from over 8,400 reviews. That sounds great initially, doesn't it? Wow, tons of happy customers. But then I started looking elsewhere, independent places like Trustpilot, other third-party review sites where people just share their actual experiences, and nothing, like crickets. It's almost like the product doesn't even exist outside its own little website bubble. What does a gap like that actually tell us, that stark contrast?
Well, that's silence. It's pretty telling, isn't it? In today's world, if something genuinely has that much positive buzz from thousands of users, it always spills over. You see it on forums, review sites, everywhere. It just does. A brand's own website is, well, it's their stage. They control the lighting, the script, everything. Independent platforms. That's where you get the raw, unfiltered feedback, good and bad. So when it's all glowing praise on their site, but absolute silence everywhere else, that raises a serious question about authenticity. Like a really serious one. It's not just a red flag, it's more like a foundational crack in their credibility story. It really highlights why you always need to look beyond the brand's curated space for real validation. That's often where the true picture emerges, or doesn't emerge in this case.
That's such a good point, especially when everything online feels so polished sometimes. Okay, so if the reviews are questionable, what's the next tangible thing? I looked for their contact info, basic stuff, expected a normal professional email. But instead, I found something, well, pretty generic.
You did. And that's unusual. Highly unusual for what presents itself as a legitimate business, particularly selling health stuff. Think about it this way. A real company invests in its identity. Having an email address like, say, support@zooone.com, it's not just a technical detail. It signals they have infrastructure, professionalism. It builds a bit of trust. A generic outlook.com address for a health product company, it kind of suggests a more temporary or less established setup. Maybe not as accountable as you'd hope. It's like finding a fancy restaurant using a Hotmail address for bookings, you know? It just feels off, doesn't match the image.
Yeah.
And when it's about something you put in your body, that disconnect is a real problem for trust.
Yeah, it definitely makes you pause, doesn't it? So if the digital side is raising questions, what about the physical world? Let's dig even deeper. Let's look at their physical footprint, or, well, what they claim is their physical footprint. We looked up the address they provide, 1730 Watauga Street, Denver, Colorado, 80202. What did we find out about that spot?
Okay, yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. So our research showed that address. It corresponds to a mixed-use building. Now, what does that usually mean for a company supposedly making and selling a health supplement? You'd kind of expect, I don't know, a dedicated office, maybe a clear sign for a manufacturing facility, or at least some kind of distinct corporate presence. A generic mixed-use building, especially when you add it to the other things we've seen, like the email, it just casts serious doubt on their operational transparency and their scale. It sort of suggests they might not have that robust infrastructure or, the kind of oversight you'd really want for health product. This ambiguity, it ties right into that bigger theme, transparency, or rather the lack of it. The generic email, the vague address they point to, this concerning lack of openness. And transparency is just so vital for consumer trust, isn't it? Especially with physical products you consume. You have a right to know who's behind it, where it's coming from.
Exactly. Which brings us, I think, to the absolute core of the issue. Those bold health claims themselves. Let's circle back to them. Promoting skin health, boosting energy, sharpening mental clarity. These are the big draw, the reason people click buy. But when we actually looked for the proof, for the substantiation, there is simply zero evidence of any third-party lab testing. Where an independent lab checks what's really in the mix and how much, and absolutely no clinical trials, no actual scientific studies on people to see if it works or if it's even safe, and yeah, no quality certifications either. Nothing to vouch for how it's made, just nothing. Zip.
And that just raises a huge question, doesn't it? Why wouldn't they have these? It's pretty much standard practice. I'd even say expected practice in the supplement world for reputable companies to share this stuff. Test results, certifications, these aren't just like optional extras. They are fundamental for building trust and, more importantly, for verifying safety and that the product actually does something. Without that backing, the claims are just words, marketing fluff. You have no real way of knowing if it works, if it's safe, or even if the ingredients listed, if they were listed, are accurate. It's a massive credibility gap.
And speaking of ingredients, if all those other concerns weren't already enough, this next point might just be the biggest red flag of them all. It's the complete total absence of a detailed ingredient list for Zooone NR1000. Just think about that. You're supposed to drink this stuff, put it in your body, and you literally don't know what's in it.
This really hits at a fundamental consumer right. You absolutely deserve to know exactly what you are putting into your body. Full stop. It's not just, oh, nice to know. It's basic safety. Without a clear ingredient list, how can you possibly check for potential allergens? What if you have a serious allergy? How can you know if it might interact badly with medications you're already taking that could be dangerous? And you can't even begin to guess at potential side effects from the product itself. This isn't just about a lack of transparency anymore. This is directly about your safety, your ability to make an informed choice. It's a profound breach of trust, really.
So, okay, let's just pull this all together. We've got quite a list of pretty serious issues here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Limited outside proof for those glowing reviews, questionable contact info, that generic email, a vague company location in some mixed-use building, bold health claims with absolutely zero verification, and then the most alarming part, no ingredient list at all. Given everything we've uncovered, the original source we looked at in our own analysis here, they all strongly advise caution. Be very, very wary of Zooone NR1000. And honestly, we have to agree.
Yeah, definitely. And if we step back and look at the bigger picture here, this whole situation offers some really clear, actionable advice for you, the listener, when you encounter any kind of supplement claim. First and foremost, before starting any new supplement, please talk to a doctor or a qualified healthcare professional. Always. And beyond that, protect yourself. Stick with products that offer verified reviews, look for them on independent sites, demand full transparency about who they are, where they are, and what is in their product. And ideally, look for proof of third-party testing. That gives you a much better sense of security and peace of mind. These principles aren't just for the specific product. They're your essential toolkit for navigating the often confusing, very crowded wellness market safely.
That is such crucial advice, especially now. Being well-informed really does empower you, doesn't it? It helps you make better decisions for your own health. Thank you so much for joining us today on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you. And maybe just leave you with this question to think about as you go about your day. In this world that's just flooded with tempting claims, promises of quick fixes, how do you personally balance that allure, that promise of something great, against the absolute need for solid proof, for verifiable evidence, and for complete transparency? Keep asking those tough questions. Keep digging for reliable information.